Progress.
Welcome to EIPIP meeting number 125. This is added on Ethereum/PM GitHub repository issue number 1975. On agenda, we have a bunch of call for inputs to look into the decisions. Mostly the deadline have passed for all of them, at least what I can see here on the list. There are a few other open but not included because they still have time to receive some response from editors. We have a couple of items for editors discussion. We'll get some updates from earlier meetings and we'll get into insights, the monthly insight, followed by a design or tool that is built by community. Maybe we can have an introduction of the tool. So to get started, the first item on agenda is call for input. Generally, this is Sam's item. So Sam, over to you.
Sounds good. So we have number 393, Unicode Technical Standards. This has been affirmed. It's just waiting for approval on the pull requests that implement it. If I could get an editor to go and look at them, that would be very much appreciated. We also have Matt's associate EIP editor call for input. That's 398. That one has been affirmed. So whoever wants to take a stab at implementing this, please do. We also have removing online serial from the citation. That was merged as affirmed. And I removed it from the rendering system, so that should be done. We also have a number 405, adding a status tag in the citation. I think we're still discussing this. I'm not sure if we've come to a conclusion on it, so maybe we can talk about that a little bit. Pooja, do you want to give us a rundown on this one since this is yours?
Yes, I can perhaps provide some information on that. So as of now, the citation is a draft for every proposal that we see on eips.ethereum.org, irrespective of their status. I have created a PR where I'm suggesting that this can be added based on the status, like current status or the page status, but it could be not mentioned in final and living as suggested by Sam. So I have updated the PR. Originally, it was for whatever is the current status of that proposal or the page status that will be reflected in the citation section, but we have made edits. Now here we are trying to discuss what is the best way to add this in all the EIPs. Do people think that it has to go as per the status, the EIP status that we follow, or should we come up with a formula like where we provide citation only when we think it is in the final and living status, or we do not add citation for final or living? So that's the thing that we are trying to solve here. I believe Sam wants to have it. Sam, you have mentioned two things like have draft on every except living and final, but I guess there is some change in thought. Gajinder Singh seems to be of different opinion. He thinks that only living and final positively indicates that this has been accepted and is unchanged. So we can perhaps add there. Yeah, Sam, if you would want to uh, let let us know. I hope I have provided some
Yeah,
context and
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. So my argument here is that in academic citations, and thankfully we have Greg here, so he can chime in if I'm incorrect. But the assumption is that cited works are completed, unless they are marked as a draft. So I think. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go on.
Oh, so I think it would be best to have a marker for everything except final and living, because they're all technically drafts.
I am a little bit of different opinion. Partially agree with Sam that we can perhaps not any citation for living and final because now they are ready. But having draft for any other status may create confusion. Right now on any particular page, we have three different places where we put statuses. One is page status, one is preamble status, and third is a citation status. So my thought was that we could perhaps have a page status and preamble status same as the citation status, with an exception of living and final, and do not add a draft to all of them, because when page says it is in a review and citation says it in draft, people may get confused.
So the idea is that we avoid the word draft just so we don't overload it with different meanings.
Yeah. Either we use the page status if it is draft, review, or last call, then we add the citation. If it is living or final, we do not add the citation at all. I wonder, Joachim or Greg, if you have any thoughts on that.
No, I don't think so. I coughed with my microphone accidentally on.
Yeah, I currently also don't have a very strong opinion on this. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna write a comment on here and come up with something, and then we can either agree or disagree on that.
I'm laughing in my head. I know it's on keeper. So Sam, sorry for putting you in this position, but yeah, that is a great path forward. Yes, please go ahead and add some comment, and we can maybe keep it open for some more time. I do not have a strong preference. I just want whatever editors agree on, we can go ahead with that.
All right, cool. So moving on to the next one, this is number 406, informational EIPs end status. So this ended last month. And this is a discussion about whether or not we want to allow upgrade EIPs to stay living or go to final. Yeah, I think we're just looking for more comments from editors on this. I don't think we have many people's opinions here. And the two people's opinions we have are opposed, or opposing rather. So leave a comment.
Great. With that, we have covered the call for input. The time deadline has already passed, so we would highly appreciate if editors go ahead and add their input. And if anyone here in the call may have thoughts, they can also add their comments for consideration. Well, next comes editor's discussion. We have listed the items from what we collected over the comments to this agenda and from the Discord discussion. The first one is the living proposal in informational category. Sam, I understand you have some concern. Do we want to discuss this today and talk about next steps for this proposal?
Yeah, sure. So this is about EIP 7870, which is hardware and bandwidth requirements for validators and full nodes. My understanding is that it collects, whatever hardware you need, how much RAM, how much storage to run a node. And it's kind of just like a bulletin that people are publishing just to let people know what they need to run Ethereum nodes. I have no problem with this being an informational EIP. I think it fits nicely into that category. My problem is that I don't think it should be living because there's no process for how we approve or don't approve living EIPs. So I think living should be reserved for our own internal documents. So now that this is living, the editor or the authors of this EIP can edit it forever until they disappear. And then because there's no way to replace authors or whatever, we're just going to end up with a eternally living document that'll never get edits. And I think we should try to avoid that as much as possible.
Right. This also would add a little bit to the last call for inputs, right? About the
Yes.
if this informational EIPs should let's see, what is it? 406. Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually not so sure because for these informational EIPs, should this then? So you are basically saying it should at some point be finalized.
Yes. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
So my stance is that every EIP that is not authored by the editors should go to final eventually or withdrawn.
Right, I see. Yeah, for this specific EIP, like I can understand why the authors have made this a living EIP because I think that the reason is that it will reflect the the current recommendations for a node to run a node. Because otherwise, and this because I could really see like arguments also for moving this to finalized, because then at some point in time you could see what are the recommendations of a node at that point in time. So like maybe at like a fork level. But the somewhat problem with that is, and I think this will also be the argument from the authors, is that you cannot directly link to this EIP. You would have to find the latest, not the latest version, but the latest, I guess the latest version of this nodes recommendations EIP, which is then finalized. So I could see arguments for both points.
Right. So I think that my concern here is that, like, let's say all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 authors die, which is conceivably possible within the lifetime of Ethereum. There will be no one left who has the authority to continue updating this EIP. So it doesn't really solve the problem of having to link to the latest EIP, because yeah, someone's going to have to make a new one at some point.
Can new authors be added over time?
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, in an event where they all disappeared all at once, I mean, can it like emergency author be added?
I mean, that would also technically be true of editors, so that's a really good point.
But that would be valid only in the case of living proposal. When a proposal is finalized, I don't think that is a scene there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I assume the idea for this particular EIP, the hardware specs, is that it will be infinitely updated for all time.
I mean, I see a downside of keeping this proposal as a living, because we would want to send community a signal that this is the hardware requirement that we are following, say for example for a particular upgrade. Then unless we move on to the next upgrade, there cannot be immediate need of change of that proposal. So having a finite status, having it a final status for hardware recommendation will give also a signal that during this time period of Ethereum evolution, we were following these standards. But now that Ethereum is into, say, for example, 50th upgrade, now we want to have a different hardware requirement, we can have new set of proposals.
I would say there's a slight difficulty on that because not everything is related to a fork. So, for instance, the gas limit is validator voted, and if that kept going up, it wouldn't need any forks to increase the hardware requirement, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you
Right,
can basically document what the hardware requirement is at the start of a fork, but that wouldn't necessarily be valid all the way until the next fork.
Well, I mean, let's say in some future version of Ethereum, everything becomes ossified and it never upgrades again. That doesn't necessarily mean that the hardware requirements won't keep going up because there'll be more state. The validators could keep, computers could be 100 times faster, and the validators might vote for, 100 times more gas. And so the hardware requirements will have gone up, even though there are no actual protocol changes. And you might need a terabyte of. Sorry, you're already at a terabyte. You might need a petabyte of this storage or something, just because in 100 years' time, there might be that much state.
From a developer's point of view, I can understand that it makes sense to have it in one document, but from a community point of view, I see an advantage of having a new proposal every time something major changes, for the reason that if this hardware proposal keep on changing, not everybody will be noticing. Anyone who wants to run their node for the first time, then they come to the Ethereum standards repository and try to take help of whatever information is available. Say for example, this EIP is available to let them know what their hardware requirement should be, but they won't be visiting every now and then to check the latest one.
Okay, then this might be a process. I don't know. Would it be possible to have like a superseded by header where you could point?
There is, yeah. Well, there is
so you could point at the new one.
No, sorry. There is So there is a way to withdraw an EIP, and you can say what the superseding EIP is. But once you go to final, there's no indication of superseding or not.
Yeah, but the alternative here could be the new proposal that you are documenting. You could mention that the earlier one as required. So that kind of create a reference that earlier this was it, but now this is the advanced version of the hardware requirement.
That creates a backward link, but you might need a forward link. So if you are following a historic link saying this is the hardware requirement, you want to be forwarded on and say this is no longer the hardware requirements. Go look at this new one, if you see what I mean. So if you landed at the wrong place, you'd be redirected to what the current one is, if there were multiple of them.
So I'm gonna guess that we're not gonna have a resolution on this call, and that we should probably discuss this async and come up with some proposals on how to deal with this for the next call, so that we can come to a decision on it. Unless somebody objects and they want to keep talking about it now, I think we should move on to the next topic.
Yeah, for one last comment on this one, because if you will change this EIP from living to final, that's not possible by the procedure because it's now in living. So that's like, well, I would say the final state is living here. So if you want to do that in the future, we should also add this as agenda points to discuss how we will tackle this. Yeah.
Since there's no way for a final document to indicate that it's no longer relevant. Living actually seems to be the right status, because a living document you can keep adding the new requirements to, or if you prefer, put the supersedes in the living document, take it to final, and point them to the new document. But otherwise, when they hit the final document, for some old requirements, there's no way to know that it's an out-of-date document.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think whatever solution we come up with, it needs to be able to indicate what the next sequence is if we have multiple ones. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, we'll move it to the next meeting and try to get it async. If we can have some solution, maybe we'll further discuss it in the next EIPIP meeting. Moving ahead, we have next item, merge this as informational EIP. So this proposal is by Greg. There are two-part questions. Number one, if this can be merged as an informational EIP, and number two, which was identified in yesterday's office hour call, that there are two core proposals which may want to refer this informational proposal. So unless this informational proposal is merged, what is the way to provide that information for those two core proposals? I believe one was 7979 and the other one was 8013. Greg, if you want to add more context to it, please feel free, and then we can open the floor for editors to share what they think about this proposal.
Well, of course, I very much prefer that it be an informational proposal, because that's exactly what it is. It's information for the community, so they can better understand how control flow works, why static control flow is important, and just basic information that's turned out to be needed in the discussions of this issue over the years. And I've been specifically asked by some people to get some such document, and both given that the document itself was factored out of the core EIPs, I could put it back there, but it's just too big a motivation for what's actually a very small proposal. And there's really just no place else to put it. We could put it in the assets, but then something fairly important is getting buried. I'm not in the foundation, so I can't put it on the foundation blog where it's prominent. I refuse to participate on X. Just basically, I think an informational EIP is the best place to put something like this that's intended to educate the community and be there permanently as motivation for at least two existing proposals and existing discussions. So basically, it is an informational EIP, meets the definition of an informational EIP. I think with some work, it will meet our standards of quality. So I just don't see any issue there. I'll tolerate the workaround so that I can get the underlying core EIPs, get them usable so that they have a link to this document that they do depend on. But merging it as an informational EIP is my strong preference. I've said that way too many times. So.
I'm just catching up on my old comments for this one. But yeah, my like initial thought on this is basically to put it into a core EIP, but if that's not practical because it is quite long, I mean, I guess I could live with this. Like, if we have a hardware requirements informational EIP, I don't see why we can't have this too. So.
Yeah, maybe also to ask, because this is, I think there are like two points here. The first is what's like an informational EIP, and I think the point that this hardware EIP is merged as an informational is also an argument to merge this one. But the other question is, and that's something I wanted to check, is it possible from one EIP to link to the assets of another EIP?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Right. Okay, that's that. Yeah. So I'm thinking because like this could be a workaround. Greg wants to reference to this document from these two EIPs. So what could also happen is that we put this document in one of the asset folder of one of these EIPs, and then other EIPs can link to it. But I will also just state that I think it is better to have this as an informational EIP. Because that feels more right to me.
Yeah, I withdraw my objection to this. I guess we can bring it in.
All right. Any next step for Greg here? I'm assuming that the proposal will be reviewed and merged as draft. Anything in specific for his action items, or he's just good to use this?
Yeah, I think Sam, if you and I could go like one time over this EIP, but I think that yeah, I think we could maybe also merge it as is if this HTML comment is deleted. Yeah.
I think we're still trying to fix the references so they render correctly.
Yeah, I just committed that.
Okay, you actually, well, what we had was close, but still wrong.
Yeah, it needs to be 4 spaces and no blank line after the caret number square bracket. Yeah.
Okay, so then
it is the most annoying construction of Markdown I have ever had to work with. So I'm sorry for putting you through that.
Markdown is so primitive compared to the tools that we worked with in the 70s.
Hey, I'm all about LaTeX for sure.
Anyway, if that's taken care of, there's edits I want to make, but they don't need to be done until after it's merged.
One thing I'd like to mention is I'd urge caution on too much informational EIPs along this line. However, this is quite an exceptionally different one because so many EIPs themselves are based on or require this information.
And it does not have to go any further from here, and we are expecting this proposal to be merged as informational EIP. And I believe that will also address the concern of referring that to the other 2 core EIPs that was discussed in the previous office hour. Moving ahead, we have 2 other items that's not much for discussion, but mostly for references. In the last EIPIP meeting, we were joined by a couple of Ethereum Foundation devs who are willing to help out with some of the existing issues in the EIP's GitHub repository. I have created related issues. Both issues are added on EIP review bot. Please take a look with all the description that we have added there. I believe there is a pull request also created by David. I don't know who is the right person to maybe take a look at it, but I wonder if any of the editors would want to take a stab on it and just leave comments if that is good and can be merged. So depending upon the progress of the PR, this can be, considered as resolved. Okay. Yeah, Matt or Sam, maybe take a look at it. Do we have it for both issues? Let me quickly take a look at it. Oh, wow. Joachim has already added a lot of comments here. I wonder, Sam, if you have anything to add on this issue, please feel free to take a look at it. We are trying to figure out what is the best way of EIP number allocation with the help of bot, and we don't need to have someone manually adding the numbers. So these are
we had a call about this 2 weeks ago. So I think we have a reasonable path forward on it. So, yeah.
Cool. Then we are going to have numbering bot in the EIP GitHub repository soon. Thank you for taking this forward. All right. So next we have updates from previous meeting. I am assuming that this has already been taken care because it's been a while, but let's go ahead and have some updates. Grant more editors force merge permission. Earlier we had only 2 editors having this force merge permissions. Do we have more now?
I thought we did, but if it hasn't come up, I will talk to DevOps about it.
Cool.
I
guess Joachim's name was proposed there, right? So I wonder, Joachim, if you have the permission, maybe you can confirm or, yeah.
Yes, I have this permission, but I don't like the force merge, so I have not used it yet. But
that's perfect. So we do have like this thing resolved. We wanted to have more editors getting this permission. So I guess Joachim was the only one who was proposed in the last meeting. If we need it for more editors, we can perhaps mention it in future meeting and get that done. Next is the EIP documentation format for test cases and reference implementation at a canonical place for new authors to refer to. I know we had been discussing about it. I'm wondering if we have anything in specific in mind. Do you think we can add it to the contribution.md that we have created, or people think that it can be living as a part of separate.md? Or could it be added to template.md? That could be another place.
Maybe the template would be a good place for this. You could put it in a comment and then.
Okay, then maybe we can take a look at it and try to come up with something by the next meeting. All right, let's quickly take a look at any of the open action items from the previous EIPIP meeting. It's taking too long in my end. Nope, I think we have pretty much covered everything. Boards news section. I do not see EIPS Inside Guy here, so maybe we can skip that. We can get the updates async. Next is availability for hosting EIP editing office hour. We have added the schedule. We concluded meeting 97 yesterday, and for meeting 98 we do have Sam on calendar. We would appreciate editors to go ahead and book their slots for upcoming weeks. That would help community to follow along, and I'll be opening the agenda with respect to availability of editors. As we do not see EIPS Inside person in the meeting, maybe we can move on to the next section, which is showcase or feedback for any project or tool that is being developed by community. I guess we are joined by Rito here today. He wants to share something about central coordinating design and review issues. Rito, take it from
Hello. So real quick before I start, would I be able to share my screen? I have some diagrams in the middle of my presentation I'd like to go through.
Yes, you have permissions. It should work for you.
Okay. All right, cool. I'll do that in the middle of it. I got quick hands, so I'll get that done. So Sam, you're here, right? Because this is working group style, so definitely need your attention.
I'm here, don't worry.
Awesome. All right. So my name is Rito. I'm here to introduce a multi-repo local build system that I just finished for the EIP working group. The PRs are linked in this meeting's GitHub issue. Issue number 8 is the central coordinating document. But since this is my first time in this Ethereum ecosystem in a live meeting, I'd like to quickly introduce myself and some of my background and tie it into the work that I just did. So I'm a cross-functional chief product officer, UX leader, and full-stack engineer. RitoVision is my brand. I work fractionally. RitoVision.com is my website. And I'm a contributor to about a dozen major OSS projects, primarily doing front-end work on flagship and documentation websites, often to improve user and developer experience, especially on mobile devices. There tends to be a lot of problems on mobile devices, but I got an eye for that. I really enjoy it. This includes Git, the Linux kernel, OWASP, systemd, and Kubernetes, and of course the current EIP repo, where a few months ago I fixed a systemic issue where the theme layout was broken on mobile across 100 or so pages in the main pages. That fix was when Sam first invited me to contribute to the working group, though I'm just finally getting around to it right now. But okay. So this is going to be a short introduction to the multi-repo local build system. That's a mouthful, so I had to repeat it just to get it in your mind. Multi-repo local build system. Okay, so I'm going to describe what problem it solves and how it works, but unfortunately the build process still takes over 10 minutes, so we're not going to do a live demo. That's probably like 5 minutes faster than the Jekyll version. This is Zola, but still too long for a demo. Okay. So if anyone listening is not familiar, the EIP working group is a Zola-based architecture that's been worked on for about 10 years with the intent of succeeding the current Jekyll-based system, and it is maintained by none other than Sam Wilson. So when I first started working on the working group, I wanted to contribute to the site theme, front end. So the first question I asked was, how do I build the full site so I can test my changes? After doing investigating and digging around, the answer, confusingly, seemed to be, figure it out yourself. Invent your own path. There was no formal way that I could find for doing it locally. Now the CI has a path for coordinating across the multiple repos necessary to build the site, but that is not really practical for local development, and the current EIP repo system has the same problem. I encountered that doing the fix for the mobile issues. I wasn't able to do the entire workflow in one sitting. I had to manually shift things together to reproduce the system. So, for the working group, I built a local build system that gives contributors a straightforward path to run through the full site pipeline from their machine, intended to have a level of parity with how the CI actually works, though some divergence for local convenience. So the system serves two purposes. One is site development, like building, surveying, and previewing the site locally. And the other is editorial work, validating proposals against the EIP rules, which you can do locally. You can run either one independently or both. So in the current version, you start from the, maybe this is the part where I should show some diagrams. Let's do that. Okay, let me get that. Build system. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay, so in this version, you start from either the EIP's or ERC's content repo clone locally, since that's where most people think to start. Then from there, you bootstrap with a single command to clone each of these sibling repos required for the full build process into your workspace. You also have the option of cloning the preprocessor and EIPW if you want to work on them also, though not necessary to run the full build process. From there, the simplest thing is to just build or check. That assembles the site from your local repos and runs the full site pipeline. That's the baseline path. If you want more control, there's a workspace config file where you can point at a local theme checkout, change the build route, or switch profiles, including a parity-oriented profile that uses remote inputs instead of local ones. You can also work dirty, so you can build and serve from tracked uncommitted edits without having to create intermediate commits that you may have to roll back for every single change. And for live iteration, serve uses the Zola development server. It still has the 10-minute build initially, but changes afterwards will update very quickly. And separately, preview, which uses tiny HTTP, because we ain't trying to add a lot of dependencies here, in order to take a static build of what's already built, so you don't need to run the full site build every single time for certain changes that are already made. Separately, for the editorial side, editorial validation happens as a part of the PR check path. Editorial lint here lets you run just the proposal checks locally, and editorial, let me move this down. That's better. Editorial build mirrors the PR CI path. It validates the proposals and then runs the site check on top. But if you still want to do the full site build, you just do the regular site build with the changes. That is basically the gist of everything. It is a site build. Ultimately, it is a static site builder. It has a lot of moving parts going on to get it in this state, but ultimately the simplicity is what we're going for, that in a few commands you're able to orchestrate multiple repositories and get the full site pipeline built without stepping on the toes of the ever important CI process. Because the way I see it right now with the CI process, how it's structured, it's like managing the airplane in flight already, and the working group is like trying to repair the airplane in mid-flight. But how are you going to do it on the ground? So this is a process for local development that makes it easy to play with the airplane without having it be in the air already. I do have the issue, as I said, linked, and I would definitely welcome people to try it out locally. I do have instructions on how to set it up and get some feedback. I would definitely like to know if it works cleanly on your machine, because everybody needs to know that. And if there are any workflow gaps or use cases that haven't been covered, if there's anything with the command surface or setup flow that you think could be shaped differently, I would definitely love to get your feedback on that. Thank you.
Cool. Well, I am pretty excited to dig into reviewing this. Thanks a ton for the contributions. I have started looking at it, and so far, is there any way you can break this up into smaller independent PRs? Because this is going to be a beast to review on its own.
How do you?
It's fine if not.
figure?
Like I'll take care of it. But yeah.
If it were to be smaller, how would you figure? Because yes, we have 4 repos right now, and I didn't even include bootstrapping in like the theme, even though I think that's probably a good idea. I think you should be able to go on any repo and be able to spin up the full pipeline. I think they should all have a call sign connecting, but I left that out for now. What would it look like for you if I were to simplify this? Because from what I see,
I don't mean like changing the functionality at all. I just mean breaking it into more digestible pieces that are smaller. Because I think the one PR adds like 2,000 lines of code or something like that. So.
And I would stack these PRs. That might be easier for you. They'd be separate.
Exactly.
Stack.
Yeah.
All right, I can look into that. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can't, not a problem. I'll get to it. It's just it will certainly be easier for me if they're a little bit smaller.
Okay. Is this something that would be in the triaging pipeline soon? Because I have it in me. I'd like to make a sprint towards getting the working group system towards a launch-ready state. Whatever that looks like, I'd want to discuss with you further. But I have the energy to try to push things forward. I'd like to see it go through. So, what is your estimation of being able to triage multiple contributions to this to getting it to the finish line?
I'm pretty excited, so I'll probably start reviewing this tomorrow. I don't know how long it's going to take me to review it, but I will certainly start tomorrow.
Okay, cool. Because then I'd like to get on to other stuff like having. I want to replace Fuse with a different type of search mechanism. Like to switch up the nav. I think the brand needs to stay the same because the brand is like a temple here. It's like this beautiful, bland, generic temple, and I don't think it needs to change. But I figured some people are thinking, hey, maybe we should change it up. I think it's a brand as it is, and let it be what it is. So yeah, I'm excited if you're able to triage this with me and try to get the working group to the finish line. That sounds cool to me. Thank you for that. Cool.
And thank you. That's a ton of work, and I really appreciate it.
Right, very right. This is a good work here. And just for you to know that if you want to maybe make a full demo of it, we can connect and have a dedicated session for that. We do sometimes promote projects like this. So we have a ecosystem project demo, a podcast where we can share the information whenever it is ready, like whenever we have this working group thing working, or if you want to provide a demo in order for other people to kind of make use of this process.
Okay, so if we were to do a demo, because I'm definitely down for that, I guess we would be using video so we don't have to sit there for 10 minutes waiting for the site to build. Right?
Yeah.
That would work. Okay.
Yeah, that works. Like, you can either go ahead and do demo, or if you have anything done prior, maybe we can show that and you can explain the process in between, because sometimes, building takes more than 1 hour to showcase. Yes. Please, if you are on the Catadus or ECH Institute's Discord, please ping any of the herders there and we can work with you to schedule the meeting for having this demo recorded.
Sounds good to me. I'll follow up on that soon. Sounds good.
Good. Well, thank you for joining us here today, and for your work to make the dream come true. I know Sam has been working on it for quite some time, so he's excited and we are excited as well.
All right.
All right. That's pretty much it for today's agenda. Let me quickly take a look if this is good and we can go ahead and do that. Cool. So I think that's pretty much for today's agenda. Does anyone have anything else to add, share, or maybe to bring up for the next meeting? I'm happy to include it in future's agenda. All right. In that case, I have one random thought that I want to share. Maybe people can hear it out and think about it, and we can discuss it even further. One point that was mentioned earlier today in one of the conversation here, that we do not have a way to let people know to not use the proposal, not use an EIP which goes into final. I don't know if this is going to resolve that or not, but I am wondering if there is a way by which we can perhaps, for example, we have required section in preamble that tells any current EIP, that whatever EIP you should look into it before reading this proposal, or this can be mandatory or this can be required before you implement this proposal. Is there a way to kind of future add EIPs for a past EIP, for if that is in the required section of any of the future EIPs, we add a preamble there, like future implementation or future required section, and we'll list all the EIPs which are using 1559 or which are built on top of 1559. I mean, what do editors think about adding this special preamble field which can let people know that you should also look all these future EIPs? Might help.
So I think that's going to be a post, whatever we end up deciding to do with the website, because we'll be able to generate that really easily with EIPS build, and it's probably possible with Jekyll too. I don't think we need to add a field for it.
I get it. And yes, that is a very good suggestion, because adding a field will go for retroactive appending the proposals, which may not make sense. But if we can display it with like UI only, that would be nice addition. The same way we intend to display the network upgrade stages and network upgrade name in the UI. Cool. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for today. If people think of need of having it further discussed, or whenever we are ready with the new UI, we can perhaps bring it back and see if this can be implemented. Yep, I think that is pretty much for today. For people who follow EIPIP meeting, this meeting happens every third Wednesday at 1600 UTC, and we invite every community member to maybe talk about the issues and challenges that they have with EIP or the governance process in general, or if they are building any cool tools for supporting the EIP process. Thank you everyone for joining us here today, and see you all in the next meeting.